Hello and welcome to Indus News. Live from Islamabad, I'm Naila Shuja and these are the headlines. In the United States, state of Georgia, Democrat Raphael Warnock has won a hotly contested Senate race over the Republican incumbent Kelly Loeffler. In the nail-biting ballot count, the Democrats are also eyeing the second seat with candidate Jon Ossoff in the lead. The Democrats need to win both seats, while Republicans only need to win one to retain their dominance over the Senate. In Afghanistan, the government says that it has defeated the Taliban on the front line of the Aurangabad district of the Kandahar province. In a statement, the Ministry of Defense said that the fighters have suffered heavy casualties. The Taliban have yet to respond to the ministry's claim. This comes amid resumption of second round of Afghan peace talks in Doha. Hong Kong police have arrested dozens of politicians and activists in a sweeping crackdown under the city's national security law. Democratic Party says that the activists were arrested for taking part in last July's primaries for a postponed Legislative Council election. Earlier, Hong Kong and Beijing both said that the primaries could breach the national security law. The United States has registered record 3,936 daily deaths from COVID-19, while its infections tally has topped 21 million. The United Kingdom's daily COVID-19 infections tally has reached a record high with nearly 61,000 new cases. Pakistan has recorded over 2,100 new cases and 52 fatalities overnight, bringing its toll to 10,461. Globally, the virus has claimed 1.86 million lives and infected over 86.3 million people. And in cricket, New Zealand have beaten Pakistan in the second test in Christchurch to win the series 2-0. The visitors suffered a defeat by an innings and 176 runs. Kyle Jamieson again ripped through the green shirts' batting lineup, taking 6 wickets. With 8 straight test series victory, the Kiwis moved to the top spot in the world's test rankings. For more news and details, stay tuned. We'll be right back after a short break. Welcome back. In the United States state of Georgia, Democrat Raphael Warnock has won a hotly contested Senate race over the Republican incumbent Kelly Loeffler. In the nail-biting ballot count, the Democrats are also eyeing the second seat with candidate Jon Ossoff in the lead. The two-seat Senate runoffs are leftovers from the general election when none of the candidates hit the 50% threshold. Warnock has made history, becoming the first black senator in Georgia's history. The Democrats need to win both seats, while Republicans only need to win one to retain their dominance over the Senate. Meanwhile, President Trump's supporters rallied in downtown Washington a day before Congress meets to certify Biden's win. Trump is expected to speak at a rally outside the White House against the congressional certification. In Afghanistan, the government says it has defeated the Taliban on the front line of the Aurangabad district of Kandahar province. In a statement, the Ministry of Defense said that the fighters have suffered heavy casualties. No group has claimed responsibility for the attack. Meanwhile, Kabul says that 6 Taliban were killed and 4 others wounded during an operation in the northern Baghlan province. And the fighters say they have killed 2 government soldiers and injured many others in the Jaghto district of the Ghazni province. This latest spate of violence comes as Kabul and the Taliban are set to resume the second round of talks in Doha. Iran has issued a red notice request to Interpol seeking the arrest of 48 U.S. officials, including President Donald Trump. An Iranian judiciary spokesperson said that the officials face murder and terrorism charges over General Qasem Soleimani's assassination. He said that the culprits also include commanders and officials at the United States Defense Department and the forces in the Middle East region. U.S. Special Envoy for Iran Brian Hook has described Tehran's move as a mere propaganda stunt. The Interpol rejected Iran's request, saying that it can't intervene in political, military, and religious cases. Meanwhile, the United States government has collected $7 million of Iranian assets for victims of state-sponsored terrorism. The United States Justice Department said that the funds were meant to benefit criminal actors engaged in conspiracy to violate United States sanctions against Iran. Iran says that it is willing to reverse its nuclear activity if parties to the 2015 nuclear deal start fulfilling their obligations. In a tweet, Iran's permanent envoy to the United Nations, Majid Ravanchi, said that Tehran's top priority is to annul the impact of sanctions. He said that Iran wants to rely completely on its domestic capabilities. Earlier, Foreign Minister Javad Zarif also said Tehran's measures are fully reversible upon full compliance by all parties to the deal. Iran has announced to enrich its uranium up to 20% from the previously set limit of 3.6% under the pact. Iraq says half of the United States troops stationed in the country are said to be withdrawn, leaving behind only hundreds. In a televised speech, Prime Minister Mustafa al-Kadhimi said that the pullout will conclude in the coming days. The premier said that the decision was taken during the ongoing strategic dialogue with the United States. He said that the remaining troops will cooperate with Iraqi forces in training, rehabilitation, armament, and technical support. Al-Khadmi said that the Iraqi forces are ready to protect the land and preserve the dignity of its people. He stressed that Baghdad will not allow its lands to be used to settle regional or international conflicts. Earlier, thousands of citizens took to the streets of Iraq to demand the withdrawal of foreign forces. In India, protesting farmers have announced a rehearsal tractor march in New Delhi for Republic Day on the 7th of January. The next round of talks with the center is scheduled for the 8th of January. Union leaders have advised farmers in distant areas of Haryana to hold tractor marches in their respective areas if the government bars them from entering the capital. A farm leader said that they have a single-point agenda to get the laws repealed, and they will not return to Delhi until then. Congress leader Rahul Gandhi said 60 farmers have died since they began their protest over a month ago. Meanwhile, Kashmiri farmer leaders have also announced participation in the process. Hong Kong police have arrested dozens of politicians and activists in a sweeping crackdown under the city's national security law. Dawn raids were conducted on 72 premises in the biggest crackdown since Beijing imposed the law in June 2020. Democratic Party says that the activists were arrested for taking part in last July's primaries for a postponed legislative council election. The police also detained an American lawyer who represented many opposition politicians and helped organize the primaries. Authorities said that an unofficial vote to choose opposition candidates in the city's elections was part of a plan to overthrow the government. Meanwhile, Beijing says that it supports Hong Kong authorities in the fulfillment of their duties. The United States has registered a record 3,936 deaths in a day from COVID-19, while the tally of nationwide infections has topped 21 million. Globally, the virus has claimed 1.86 million lives and infected over 86 million people.
All across the world, hopes to get rid of COVID-19 are essentially pinned on the vaccine. However, vaccination drives have been hitting snag over multiple issues in countries that have initiated their inoculations. Colombia became the latest country to authorize the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine for emergency use, as World Health Organization said that almost 30 countries have started to vaccinate their high-risk groups. Over in the United States as well, the government's Operation Warp Speed has distributed more than 19 million vaccines across the country. However, Experts say the pace of administration of the vaccine doses continue to slow as only 4.8 million doses have been administered so far. They say the government has focused way too much on the vaccine but forgot about the vaccination altogether.
We had been initially told that there'd be 20 million people vaccinated by the end of the year. We're now at barely 2.5 million. And I think what we're seeing is that there was certainly a plan for vaccine. There wasn't a plan for vaccination, and the two are different.
Over in Europe, the UK reported its highest number of infections in a day with nearly 61,000 new cases. UK health officials say delays in vaccine supply have been affecting the pace of immunization. In France and Denmark, detection of the new variant has increased fears of a new spike in cases. Citing the situation as really serious, Denmark imposed tougher curbs for an indefinite period. Meanwhile, Germany is further tightening restrictions as it extended the national lockdown until the end of January.
Auch das ist eine Erfahrung.
Lockdown light, that too is an experience, has had little effect. When schools, kindergartens and shops are open, there is too much mobility and this virus can spread too well. The measures here in Saxony from 14 December onwards have really brought something in Germany from 16 December onwards. This very hard lockdown is to be continued until the end of this month in any case.
Meanwhile, in the latest efforts to stave off another wave, China has imposed curbs in the capital, Beijing. Over in Australia, despite the latest stabilization in recent outbreaks, authorities have decided to bring forward the vaccine rollout to early March.
In Pakistan, 52 people have lost their lives to COVID-19 over the past 24 hours. This takes the country's death toll to 10,461. Health officials reported 2,118 new infections overnight. Meanwhile, there are more than 37,000 active COVID-19 cases in the country. The health ministry says out of over 492,000 countrywide cases, more than 448,000 people have recovered. Meanwhile, passengers from more than 20 countries have been exempted from getting a negative test before entering Pakistan. According to a Civil Aviation Authority notification, Australia, China, Saudi Arabia, and New Zealand are among the 23 nations. It's now time for a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. U.S. intelligence agencies have accused Russia of the massive cyber attacks on government departments. The announcement came in a joint statement from the FBI and the National Security Agency, along with the Cybersecurity Agency. The agency said that the actor, likely Russian in origin, was responsible for most or all of the cyber compromises. They said that a hack was serious compromise that would require a sustained effort to remediate. They added that the breaches appeared to be a part of an intelligence gathering and spying effort rather than disruption. This is the first formal assignment of responsibility for the hacks by the United States government. The U.S. Treasury and Commerce departments were among others targeted by the hackers. United States President Donald Trump has signed an executive order banning transactions with 8 Chinese applications. The order says Washington must take aggressive action against developers of Chinese applications to protect national security. These include WeChat Pay and Alipay, a mobile app payment. Washington says that these apps could route user information to the government in Beijing. The document adds that such data collection will permit China to track the locations of federal employees and building dossiers of personal information. In Nepal, the top court begins hearings on petitions challenging the dissolution of the parliament. President Bidya Devi Bhandari dissolved the lower house on Prime Minister K.P. Sharma Oli's recommendation on the 20th of December. A 5-member constitutional bench of the Supreme Court is hearing at least 13 right petitions. In their plea, politicians, activists, and lawyers are questioning the right of the leader to dissolve the parliament. If the court upholds Oli's move, Nepal will hold elections this summer. If not, parliament will be reinstated. In Venezuela, a new National Assembly dominated by allies of President Nicolas Maduro has been sworn in. The inauguration marks the formal consolidation of power for Maduro and his Socialist Party. It also manifests a symbolic end of the opposition's 5-year struggle to weaken the Maduro regime. The coalition led by Maduro's party has won 256 out of the 277 seats in December's elections. The opposition parties boycotted the election on the grounds of massive fraud and rigging. During his address, National Assembly President George Rodriguez vowed to undo the damages done.
Se los digo sin ánimo retórico, no podemos fracasar.
I tell you this without any rhetoric that we cannot fail. We cannot but succeed. This time we have to repair what has been damaged. We have to rebuild what has been destroyed, to rebuild what has been damaged by hatred, betrayal, and violence.
Meanwhile, opposition leader Juan Guaido held his own swearing-in ceremony for members of the parliament from the old Congress. Moving on. In the United States state of Wisconsin, prosecutors have cleared a white police officer of criminal charges for shooting a black man in Kenosha. The gunfire from behind left the victim paralyzed, triggering protests against racial injustice. The Kenosha County District Attorney said that the officer acted in self-defense. He said that the victim, Jacob Black, was armed with a knife and an officer shot him after he resisted arrest. Responding to the decision, an attorney for Blake's family said that they were immensely disappointed with the decision.
The news that we have heard from the Kenosha the Kenosha District Attorney's Office is very disturbing. We are immensely disappointed with that decision. We believe that there was more than sufficient evidence to find probable cause to charge Officer Shesky.
In India, authorities have decided to cull tens of thousands of poultry after symptoms of bird flu were reported in carcasses of birds. At least 6 Indian states have stepped up efforts to contain the avian virus. 2 strains of the deadly avian influenza, H5N1 and H5N8, have been confirmed in the birds. Local authorities have banned the sale and export of poultry in the Himachal Pradesh state. The mass deaths came amid a cull of nearly 35,000 poultry in the southern Kerala state, where a virus outbreak killed up to 12,000 ducks. The 2021 Harbin International Ice and Snow event has kicked off in China's Heilongjiang province. The festival helps to boost the development of the local ice-snow economy.
Temperatures in northeast China are plunging, but Heilongjiang's winter tourism season is heating up. Harbin Snow and Ice World, established in 1999, hosts various events each winter for around 3 months. This year, more than 400 cultural and recreational activities will be held in Harbin till April. The festival is combining ice and snow events with sports, music and culture to attract more tourists while also providing a new experience. It displays ice sculptures of huge proportions such as palace buildings. Meanwhile, the Harbin Municipal Government and China Tourism Academy have released the China Ice and Snow Tourism Development Report 2021 and the Harbin Ice and Snow Tourism Report 2021. Several cities including Harbin, Zhangjiakou, Mudanjiang, Hebei were listed under China's top 10 cities for ice and snow tourism.
In Palestine, a young girl with a spinal tumor turned to horse riding to improve her posture, but it did more than that and helped her regain some sensation in her legs. Find out more in this report.
12-year-old Layan in Palestine opted for horse riding sessions after a spinal tumor diagnosis. The sessions also helped gain some sensation in her limbs that had been affected by the tumor.
When I first started riding the horse, I did not have feeling in my legs. I used to be afraid while riding. Afterwards, and thank God, I started regaining sensation in my legs. So I started to know how to ride and perform other exercises.
Layan's father says after her chemotherapy in 2017, they tried aquatic and physiotherapy, but nothing alleviated her pain. According to Layan's instructor Al-Natche, a single brush with horse riding started to show improvement in her legs.
When she started, she had immense suppleness in her back and could not hold it straight. The way she is sitting now was not apparent then, She used to have a loss of balance. Currently, she can do her exercises. Her father and I used to help her, one from each side. Today, she can do it on her own. Do the back exercises, Leon.
Al-Nachi claims that horseback riding has many therapeutic benefits, especially for children with autism and other disabilities. He says it is safe since horses are very sensitive to their riders and will act accordingly.
Saudi Arabia says that it is making major cuts in oil output over the next 2 months as a gesture of goodwill to global crude markets. Speaking at the OPEC meeting, Saudi Energy Minister Prince Abdulaziz bin Salman said that Riyadh is the guardian of the global oil industry. He said that the cuts are a preemptive measure to mitigate the situation in the face of fragile markets. Prince Abdulaziz said Riyadh is moving to a continuity of a trust that it gets from the G20 and other forums. After Saudi Arabia's voluntary cuts, global oil prices have climbed nearly 5%. The cuts are a part of a deal to persuade oil producers in OPEC Plus to keep output steady, amid concerns that the new coronavirus lockdowns will hit demand. The World Bank says that the global economy will grow by 4% in 2021. The latest global economic prospects are based on assumptions of widespread COVID-19 vaccination. The report warned that the pandemic may depress economic activity and incomes for a prolonged period. It noted that the expansion could be restricted to 1.6% in 2021 if vaccine rollout is delayed. The report said that developing economies are forecast to expand by 3.4% in 2021 after a 5% contraction in 2020. The report showed that their aggregate GDP will grow 5% after a contraction of 2.6% in 2020. It added China's economy is expected to grow 7.9% this year compared to 2% last year. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un says his 5-year economic plan has failed to meet its goals on almost every single sector. Pyongyang has said that it will lay out a new 5-year development plan at the ongoing Congress. In his opening speech in the Congress, Kim said that the economic strategy he set forth in 2016 was not meant in almost all the areas. He said that North Korea must not repeat the painful lessons. Kim is expected to announce leadership changes and discuss other organizational budget and audit issues. The Congress was attended by over 4,700 delegates and 2,000 spectators. The world's most popular cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, has emerged as a rival to gold. Investment bank JP Morgan says that the digital currency could trade as high as $148,000. Bitcoin's prices peaked over $35,000 today. The cryptocurrency's prices have tripled in the past 6 months. It has seen increasing demand due to its inflation hedging qualities and potential for quick gains. Expectations of Bitcoin becoming a mainstream payment method also contributed high to its demand. European stocks rose as investors monitored Democratic win in one of the most crucial U.S. Senate runoffs in Georgia. The Pan-European Stock 600 climbed over 0.4%, with banks adding 2.4% shares to lead gains. The UK's FTSE 100 edged 0.8% higher, and Germany's DAX gained 0.33%, while the CAC 40 in France is trading marginally higher. It's now time to take a look at the weather around the world. For the latest news updates, you can follow us on our social media at Indus.News.